The emperor hungered for human flesh, the fear, despair, and obedience of those around him. The villagers found the gates of the palace wide open. Inside, the emperor's throne was empty, but the hall smelled of smoke and blood. If you want to know what became of him, like, comment and subscribe and stay with me till the end. Long ago, deep in the heart of Africa, there was a kingdom called Nzalo. Its people lived in harmony with the forest, the rivers, and the spirits of their ancestors. The kingdom was rich in culture, drumming, song, and dance, yet it hid shadows behind its golden gates. Peace is fragile, and ambition is stronger than any law of nature. The boy who would become emperor was named Emeka. Orphaned as a child, he grew up in the shadow of the palace walls, watching nobles feast while his stomach ached with hunger. He learned early that strength commanded respect and that fear brought obedience. While other children played, he studied people, their weaknesses, their secrets, the smallest gestures that betrayed thoughts they tried to hide. By the time he was a young man, he had climbed the ranks with cunning and patience, outsmarting rivals, deceiving friends, and charming the unsuspecting. In those early days, Emeka's cruelty was small but telling. He would steal food from the weaker boys, letting them starve while he ate, yet smile as if it were a lesson in survival. He once locked a rival in a dark cellar for days, letting hunger and fear teach the boy obedience. These small acts foreshadowed the hunger that would later define him. By the age of 20, he had positioned himself to claim the throne through cunning, ruthlessness, and ambition that burned brighter than any fire. When Emeka finally sat on the throne, the kingdom trembled. His palace was taller than the tallest trees, carved from black stone that seemed to drink the sunlight. Inside, the halls were lined with ivory, gold, and masks carved from sacred trees. Statues of lions and crocodiles flanked the doors, reminding visitors that the emperor was both predator and god. At first, Emeka ruled with cleverness and fear combined. But fear was never enough. He hungered for something beyond wealth or conquest. He craved the essence of life itself, the pulse of terror, and the taste of obedience. His advisors whispered, "He is not satisfied with men, not with power, not with the spoils of victory. He hungers for something darker." It began slowly. Servants disappeared without explanation. A guard who stumbled into the emperor's private chambers was never seen again. Merchants who came to sell ivory or spices were lured into private meetings and vanished by morning. Only whispers remained. "The emperor feasts on fear," they said. "He hungers for the essence of life itself." The villagers lived in terror. At night, no child dared to cry. Mothers whispered prayers into the wind, hoping the emperor would not hear. And he did. Emeka had learned to listen, not with his ears, but with his hunger. He could sense the tremble in a man's heart, the sweat in a soldier's hand, the hesitation in a merchant's step. He could sense the courage and defiance that humans carried, and it excited him, drove him, and fueled his dark cravings. Emeka's new obsession began with human flesh, though he did not call it that. He claimed it was a ritual, a way to absorb courage, strength, and wisdom. Anyone of prominence, brave warriors, clever ministers, wandering travelers, could be chosen. They were lured to the palace by false invitations, the promise of rewards, or the simple misfortune of crossing the emperor's path. One evening, a renowned hunter named Oba came to Nzalo. He boasted of slaying the fiercest lions and promised the emperor the finest ivory. Emeka invited him to the feast. That night, Oba's laughter echoed through the halls. The emperor watched quietly, noting the hunter's pride, the boldness in his eyes, and the sharpness of his teeth. By midnight, Oba had vanished. Some said he was led to a chamber below the palace, where the emperor's assistants prepared him for the feast. Others whispered that Oba's spirit still roamed the palace corridors, warning the living of the emperor's hunger. The emperor's appetite grew with each passing day. He hungered not just for flesh, but for the fear, despair, and obedience of those around him. The palace became a labyrinth of shadows, secret rooms, and hidden cells. Each victim was selected carefully. Artists, scholars, warriors, anyone with vitality and spirit, were drawn in by flattery, bribery, or fear, only to vanish beneath the black stones of the palace. The villagers began marking the nights by the disappearances. When the drums in the distance fell silent, they knew Emeka had claimed another soul. Some said they could hear faint cries carried by the wind. Others claimed to see shadows slipping into the palace, never to return. One of his most notorious victims was a young dancer named Nia, whose beauty and grace had captivated the kingdom. Emeka summoned her to perform at the palace feast. That night, Nia danced like the wind, her feet barely touching the floor. The emperor sat on his throne, mask in hand, eyes glowing with an unnatural hunger. After her dance, the doors of the hall closed. Nia was never seen again. Some say her final scream became part of the palace's stone walls, forever trapped in echoing corridors. Another victim was a scholar named Ifideo, famed for his wisdom and knowledge of herbs and stars. He came to teach the emperor's sons. Emeka watched him carefully, noting his calm, confident demeanor, the spark of intellect in his eyes. That night, Ifideo vanished. Some claimed he had been drawn into the palace cellars to feed Emeka's dark appetite. Others said he tried to resist but that the emperor's hunger could bend the strongest will. Emeka's obsession with the essence of life was mirrored in the mask he eventually discovered. One day, a mysterious traveler arrived with a mask carved from the heart of a fallen sacred tree. "This mask," the traveler whispered, "gives you the strength of the storm, but only if you embrace what mortals fear most." Emeka wore the mask immediately. It clung to his face, warm and heavy. A voice spoke from the wood, first soft then rising, "You are power. You are hunger. You are eternal." From that night onward, his hunger became insatiable. The ministers trembled, soldiers refused to enter the palace at night, and even the bravest warriors whispered prayers to the spirits of the forest. The mask amplified his appetite for fear, obedience, and life itself. Those who came too close could feel a shiver run through their bones, as if the emperor's hunger had reached through time itself. The palace itself seemed alive, growing darker and stranger with each passing day. Secret passages twisted beneath the black stone floors. Doors opened by themselves. Whispering voices carried along the corridors and shadows moved without bodies. Even the palace animals avoided the emperor's private chambers, howling into the night and fleeing into the forest. As the years passed, the kingdom of Nzalo grew silent. The rivers ran black with smoke from the palace kitchens. Animals fled the area. The forest around the palace grew thick, as if trying to hide the horrors inside. Then came the night of the storm. Lightning struck the palace towers. Rain pounded the black stones. The villagers saw a terrible sight. The palace gates flew open, the doors banged like drums, and the wind carried a voice deeper and darker than any thunder. "Do you fear nothing? Do you dare?" By morning the palace was empty. Emeka had vanished. All that remained was the mask, lying on the black stone floor, humming softly, as if waiting for the next ambitious soul. The villagers ventured inside and discovered the horrors he had left behind. Dark stains streaked the floors and walls, like handprints, scratches, and blood that had resisted even the rain. Scattered bones lay half-buried in dust, small and large, human and unidentifiable, evidence of the victims the emperor had claimed over the years. Broken chairs, toppled tables, shattered plates, and remnants of feasts littered the secret chambers. Some villagers swore the bones hummed faintly, whispering the names of those long gone. In the deepest chamber, atop a long black stone table, the mask rested. Its hollow eyes glowed faintly, and a low hum resonated through the air, almost like the bones themselves were singing. Some villagers claimed they could feel their hearts pounding, as if Emeka's hunger had reached through the centuries, testing the courage of anyone nearby. Streams near the palace ran red at times, birds avoided the area entirely, and shadows moved in ways that defied explanation. Over time, the villagers understood a grim truth. The missing hunters, dancers, warriors, and travelers had likely ended up here. Emeka's hunger had consumed them, absorbing not just their bodies but their courage, their life, and their essence, leaving only whispers, shadows, and the dark legend of Nzalo. Even centuries later, travelers report that the mask still waits in the ruins. Some swear they see bones scattered beneath the dust, faint stains glimmering like red sunlight, and those who approach too closely hear a soft hum calling their names. "Do you fear nothing? Do you dare?" The villagers of Nzalo still warn outsiders, "Do not go near the palace. Do not peek into the halls." Some hunger lasts forever, and some masks never forget the names of the living. And so the legend endures, a tale of ambition, power, and fear, where the emperor vanished, yet his hunger remains, echoing across the forests and stones of Nzalo for all time. If you felt the chill of the emperor's hunger, comment, "I fear nothing." Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more African folktales and chilling legends from the motherland.